Is our planet really flat? Can you imagine Earth not as a globe but as a vast flat disk surrounded by towering walls of ice? While this idea defies modern science, the flat Earth theory still sparks curiosity and debate. But if it were true, how would life, gravity, and nature itself be radically different? Let us see. For centuries, people believed that the Earth was the center of the universe, flat and immovable, with everything else revolving around it. This view was held until groundbreaking astronomers like Nicolaus Copernicus challenged it, proposing the idea that the Earth was actually spherical and orbited the Sun. Copernicus's heliocentric model changed everything, paving the way for modern science as we know it. But despite all the evidence, flat Earth theories have managed to persist, with some believers convinced that we're all part of a grand deception. Now, let's imagine for a moment that the flat earthers are right. The Earth is not a globe but a flat disc-shaped object. How would this impact the basic principles of science we take for granted? The first and perhaps most important concept to examine is gravity. On a round Earth, gravity pulls everything toward the center of the planet, keeping objects grounded and giving the planet its spherical shape. Gravity acts uniformly, pulling things straight down no matter where you stand. But in a flat Earth scenario, gravity would behave very differently. Instead of pulling objects downward, it would pull towards the center of the disk. This means that the further you moved away from the center, the more bizarre gravity would feel. Near the center, life might feel somewhat normal, with gravity pulling everything toward the ground. However, as one moved closer to the edge, gravity would start pulling sideways, causing all kinds of strange effects. Trees would grow diagonally, rivers would flow toward the center, and people would feel increasingly heavy as they approached the outer rim of the world. In fact, it would become nearly impossible to walk to the edges, because the pull of the gravity would become unbearably strong. Would this change how everyday tasks like walking or lifting objects work? Most certainly. But gravity isn't the only thing that would be affected on a flat Earth. The movement of the sun, moon, and the stars would also present a serious puzzle. In flat Earth models, it's often suggested that the sun and moon are much closer to Earth than in reality, orbiting in circles above the surface like a spotlight. This explanation creates some problems. For one, if the sun operated in this manner, everyone on the planet would be able to see it all the time, even if it wasn't directly overhead. The very concept of the day and night would become nonsensical, as light from the sun would always be visible, though possibly less intense in some regions. There would be no time zones, no changing seasons, and the delicate balance of a 24-hour day would collapse. The absence of a spherical shape also eliminates the possibility of the Earth having a geomagnetic field. On or around Earth, this field is generated by the planet's rotation and the movement of molten iron in its core. It protects us from the harmful solar radiations, helping to sustain life. Without this magnetic field, the flat Earth would be exposed to deadly cosmic rays and solar winds, stripping away its atmosphere over time. Life as we know it would not be possible without this crucial protection. If we look at planets like Mars, which lacks a magnetic field, we can see the devastating effects of solar radiation on a planet's atmosphere. Without a geomagnetic field, Earth's atmosphere would slowly bleed into space, leaving the surface exposed to radiation and extreme temperatures. If you're wondering about water distribution on a flat Earth, things would get even stranger. Gravity, as mentioned earlier, would pull everything toward the center of the disk, including water. This means that all the oceans would eventually converge in the middle of the Earth, leaving the edges dry and barren. The idea of coastlines and diverse climates would cease to exist. The flat Earth would have a single vast ocean at its center, surrounded by empty, lifeless land on the outskirts. Rivers and lakes would flow towards the central ocean, creating a drastic change in the world's water ecosystems. Let's not forget about the tectonic plates. The movement of tectonic plates is responsible for earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and the creation of mountains. On a flat Earth, these processes wouldn't work in the same way. Our spherical planet's plates move because of the heat from its molten core, constantly shifting and interacting at their boundaries. Without this spherical shape, there would be no tectonic activity as we know it. Earthquakes, mountain formation, and volcanic eruptions would either be non-existent or behave in a completely unpredictable manner. Travel too would change in ways that are hard to comprehend. For example, current flight paths are based on the Earth's curvature and the shortest distance between 2 points, known as a Great Circle route. On a flat Earth, these routes would be different. Flying from Australia to Antarctica, for instance, would take far longer because distances on a flat surface are different from those on a sphere. The convenient travel times we currently enjoy would be a thing of the past. Additionally, the shape of continents as we know them would change dramatically on a flat Earth, making navigation far more difficult and confusing. Historically, the idea of a flat Earth has been largely debunked for thousands of years. As early as ancient Greece, thinkers like Pythagoras and Aristotle observed the Earth's curvature and understood it to be a sphere. The myth that people in the Middle Ages believed in a flat Earth is largely a misconception, created much later in history. Most educated individuals in ancient times and throughout the Middle Ages knew that the Earth was round. So why in the modern era does the flat Earth theory still persist? Part of the answer lies in human psychology and the phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance. This occurs when people hold beliefs that contradict observable evidence, leading them to rationalize or justify their views in ways that defy logic. It's not just about believing the Earth is flat. It's also about questioning the official narrative and challenging authority. In a world where misinformation spreads quickly, especially online, the flat Earth theory becomes almost like a symbol of rebellion against mainstream science. But when you start to examine the flat Earth theory more closely, it just doesn't hold up. There are so many observations and principles that have been tested over centuries, all of which point to a spherical Earth. From the way ships vanish over the horizon to how we experience day and night. These are things that can only be explained by a round Earth. In the end, the flat Earth theory might seem like an interesting idea to play with in fiction, but it can't compete with the complexity of the reality we live in. Our spherical Earth, with its intricate systems from the protective magnetic field to the constant shifting of tectonic plates, supports life in ways that a flat Earth simply couldn't. So, while the thought of a flat Earth might make for an intriguing story, isn't the reality of a round planet far more exciting and inspiring? Let us know your views. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Feel free to drop any questions or thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep exploring the incredible mysteries of our universe together.